Hey there, YouTube and Wooper Club fans. It's Fruit Taco here, coach of the Route 1 Burbs, bringing you a feature match from Week 7 of WCL Season 14. We've got the 6-0 undefeated Buffalo Bouffalant going up against the Wooper Boopers, who are currently 3-3, still looking to punch that ticket to the playoffs. Will the Bouffalant be able to continue their undefeated season, or will the Boopers be able to actually pull off a pretty big upset here? Let's dig into it. The Bouffalant are Shaman Sky, Keldeo, Iron Shreds, Chiyu, Pheasantipity, Rotom Wash, Gyarados, Hoopa, Unbound, Gothitelle, Ursaluna, and Hariyama going up against the Wooper Boopers with Rabombi, Tornadus Therian, Lycanroc, Dusk, Meowstic, Gouging Fire, Great Tusk, Magmortar, Venusaur, Metagross, Primarina, and Alolan Muck. While the Bouffalant do have the fastest mon in the match with that Shaman Sky, Sticky Web, Prankster Thunderwave, and the second, third, and fourth fastest mons definitely give the Boopers a slight edge in speed overall. For the Bouffalant though, Ground, Rock, Flying, and Water are all solid options into the Boopers. Ursaluna looks really strong here, but it will need to watch out for taking a couple of super effective moves from the other side. Maybe we actually get to see a little bit of funny Trick Room action from the Bouffalant here. Shaman also looks pretty good offensively, but is weak to several things on the other side as well, so it could be a little bit tricky to get the most use out of it, although Serene Grace flinches are always a viable strategy. Dragon Dance Gyarados, Brute Force of Hoopa, or Chiyu, there's just a lot of options that I think the Bouffalant could roll with offensively. Defensively, I expect Rotom to come with some great status options here, as well as maybe Iron Treads to potentially deal with Rabombi's shenanigans, especially those sticky webs. For the Boopers, Fairy and Flying are the only weaknesses that the Bouffalant have, but Ground and Grass are solid options into them. Lycanroc looks absolutely fantastic with great speed, priority, and coverage options. Primarina and Muck could also be solid offensively or just with an Assault Vest being incredibly bulky into some of those special attackers. I also think that support from Meowstic could go a long way with stuff like Prankster Thunderwave or Screens. Overall, while I don't think that the Boopers have a bad matchup, the Bouffalant are my favorites to win here just because they have such a solid team offensively and defensively. For the Boopers to win, they're probably going to need to catch the Bouffalant off guard at least once, but if they can get a sneaky KO, I could definitely see them carrying the momentum to a victory. But enough about what I think, let's see what each of the coaches decided to bring to the match. Alright, and here we have the Bouffalant's team. We're going to start things off with Chiyu, max special attack, modest nature, with enough speed to outspeed Bulky Tornadus and Adamant Gouging Fire, although just a couple EVs short of outspeeding max speed Venusaur, which I probably think would have been the right call. Focus Sash will mean that this is probably expected to be a lead, and then we've got Terra Grass to resist ground and water moves maybe aimed into it. Dark Pulse, Heat Wave, Terra Blast, and Protect make just a solidly useful offensive set. Heat Wave and Dark Pulse hit everything except Primarina neutrally, which you then have the super effective Terra Blast for. Protect is nice here because we'll see a lot of speed control on this team later, so you can wait and let your partner slow down the other side for you next turn. Not much to say here, just solid if not a particularly interesting set. Hoopa is up next, max attack with a hasty nature to boost speed without dropping special attack, and enough speed and a choice scarf for a couple interesting interactions. It outspeeds bulky Scarfed Lycanroc as well as uninvested Great Tusk in Tailwind, and in Sticky Web still outspeeds Adamant Gouging Fire. Psychic and Hyperspace Fury give it mixed stab options, with Gunk Shot hitting Primarina and Terra Ground Terra Blast hitting Muck while losing the exploitable 4x weakness. This is a really cool set. The power of this thing is insane, so using the Choice Scarf to get a surprise KO could be really effective. And with the Terra and coverage, this looks really scary. Although it does look like the Bouffalant are going to have to think pretty hard about who they're going to Terra in the match with already 2 Terra Blast users. Next, we have Ursaluna, max attack Adamant with a Flame Orb and Guts for even more power, and just enough speed to outspeed Jolly Gouging Fire if Tailwind is up. Terra Poison will resist grass and fighting type moves. Then we've got Facade and Headlong Rush Stab with Earthquake as a spread option and Protect. it's hard to make a bad Ursa Luna set because, I mean, these moves are really all it could ever need. Earthquake is a little risky, but with several options to protect other members of the team, it could be really strong into the Boopers who only have Ribombee and Tornadus as resists. Only thing to say is that I'd put just a little more investment in speed to naturally outspeed uninvested Primarina while also being able to outspeed Adamant Lycanroc in Tailwind. But Illogic is a great coach, so I'm sure he considered that, and there's something else he's looking at here with that specific investment. Next, we have Iron Treads. Max attack Jolly with enough speed to outspeed Adamant Lycanroc. Air Balloon can dodge a ground move, maybe even Ursaluna's Earthquake, while Terra Grass gives it another way to resist ground and water as well. Rapid Spin will get rid of webs and rocks, while then outspeeding everything with the speed boost. Then Heavy Slam and High Horsepower Stab with Ice Spinner coverage are the offensive choices there. Iron Treads looks even better than I initially imagined, with this set actually doing 50% or more to most sets things besides Great Tusk on the other side could be running. And in solid speed and hazard removal too, and you get another set that might not be able to sweep, but should deliver really reliable value. Then we have Rotom Max HP with 208 defense with a boosting nature and enough speed to outspeed Modest Primarina, Uninvested Gouging Fire, or an Adamant Lycanroc after a speed drop. Citrus Berry gives some extra bulk with Terra Poison resisting grass moves as well as both of Great Tusk stabs combined with that Levitate ability. Will-O-Wisp and Thunderwave are great to spread everywhere, with Electro Web for additional speed control and Volt Switch for a stronger move into the likes of Primarina and Tornadus while getting some momentum. No Hydro Pump makes this a more awkward Great Tusk check, so he's really counting on Will-O-Wisp here being able to neutralize that threat. Both statuses are great, so it comes down to which two of Electro Web, Hydro Pump, and Volt Switch do you bring. I like Hydro Pump, but with possible Sun coming on the other side, I can definitely see sticking with the more reliable and accurate options here. And last up is Pheasantipity. Max HP and just enough speed with a timid nature to speed tie Max Speed Great Tusk with leftovers in defense. I talked to the coach, and actually this specific investment was trying to creep some other speed creeping. Just funny that it actually ends up speed tying Max Speed Great Tusk. Definitely should have just put in a couple extra EVs just to shore it up that bit more. Safety Goggles makes it immune to powder moves, specifically Sleep Powders from Venusaur or Stun Spore from Ribombee. Terraflying will dodge ground-type attacks. Dazzling Gleam is then spread chip damage with Icy Wind and Tailwind speed control, and lastly Acid Spray to break down walls, special defense for something like Chi-Yu to break through. The glaring issue with this set is speed tying Great Tusk instead of outspeeding it, which is kind of a big oversight. Some other ideas would be to run Technician so you don't get Toxic Chain status on mons you'd rather burn or paralyze, while boosting the power of Icy Wind and Acid Spray further, and maybe even run something like Charm over Acid Spray. Chi-Yu and sometimes Hoopa are the ones who would be making use of that drop special defense, and they've got strong options already, so dropping the attack of Lycanroc, Gouging Fire, Great Tusk, and Muck also sounds really nice. All in all, just a couple speed EVs is the only thing I'd really ding this set for, though. And overall, this is a pretty strong and versatile team. Aside from Ursa Luna, though, I think they might lack just a little bit of power. Don't get me wrong, Hoopa and Chi-Yu are really strong, but I think without boosting items are set up that if the Bouffalant fall behind, they might not be able to quickly grab multiple KOs to pull back and even ahead. I still trust in Illogic's impeccable play to be able to manage that situation, though, so great team overall. Moving on to the Wooper Boopers, we're going to start things off with Gouging Fire. Max speed Jolly nature with as much attack as possible to still get a speed boost from Protosynthesis and a Choice Band making up for some of that missed attack investment. Terra Grass will resist ground moves. Dragon Claw, Flare Blitz, Iron Head, and Stone Edge are the offensive moves of choice here. This set is fine. Flare Blitz hits pretty well into anything but the resists, although if it wants to get Okos, it may have to lock itself into some more awkward, super effective moves in specific matchups. If Sun is up, though, it should be pretty fine clicking Flare Blitz over and over, but without the Sun, I think this will just be okay. Primarina is up next. Max special attack Timid with enough speed to outspeed no speed Pheasantipity, and then choice specs to match a Gouging Fire's choice band. Terra Fairy is going to boost Moonblast as well as lose the water weaknesses. Moonblast and Hyper Voice via Liquid Voice, stab options with Energy Ball coverage, and Icy Wind as a little utility with a chance to actually OHKO Shaman Sky. Moonblast is only resisted by Iron Treads and Pheasantipity, so I think Terra and Choice Specs should let it just kind of tear through the opposing team. Water-type Hyper Voice is also strong, but it will be weakened by the Sun that we'll see next. Icy Wind, I think, is the big miss for me here. With Sun boosting Gouging Fire and Venusaur's speed, and a Scarf on the Lycanroc that we'll see later, you don't really need the speed control, and they're just better options to go with. Psychic would hit Pheasantipity, Ice Beam or Blizzard would be overall better ice moves in my opinion, and Weather Ball could hit Iron Treads in the Sun, which, you know, it's a pretty small complaint though, I think, as Moonblast will probably be the choice most of the time. Next up, we have Tornadus, max HP with enough speed and a boosting nature to outspeed Modest Shaman, and the rest in attack to boost U-turn damage, probably trying to pick up the OHKO on a slightly bulky Hoopa. Terra Grass will resist electric moves while not becoming weak to water or ground, although I think Dragon would probably be a little harder for the Bouffalant to hit if you want those resists. Heat Rock will extend Manual Sun with Tailwind and Taunt as additional support, and then U-turn to pivot into the threats on the team. This is a nice set. We finally see the Sunsetter here with that boosting the Sunsweeper's speeds and Tailwind boosting Primarina's speed. I think it could be really good. Air Slash or Knockoff would be nice to see to be able to do a little bit more without having to pivot into something else, but Taunt would probably be the move to cut, and the Bouffalant do love their status moves, so I think it definitely earns a spot on the set just fine. Next up, we have Meowstic, max HP and max speed with a special defense boosting nature. Terra Dark will resist Dark-type attacks. Covert Cloak will protect it from opposing Fake Outs or other RNG, with Fake Out of its own, Backup Sunny Day, Thunder Wave, and Fake Tears to help these special attackers break through. This set is not doing it for me, I have to admit. What is the speed for when all of your moves are priority? There's no other Prankstermon to outspeed. The Covert Cloak I also think is kind of overkill. Is this really the Pokemon that will be getting faked out? Citrus Berry for bulk, eject button to get a free pivot after a Prankster move, Mental Herb. I just think there's better value to get here since you'll always be using priority moves with this set. I do think the move choices are great though. Sure, maybe Thunder Wave is a little risky given the 4 immunities, and Taunt could be really nice, or maybe even Swagger into Persim Berry Gouging Fire would be a really cool way to get past its middling attack while not locking it into a move, as well as something like Charm or Quick Guard. But all of the chosen moves are great picks. That's just kind of the thing with Prankstermons. You're going to have a lot of options that, when they get priority, are really nice to have. You can only bring 4. Next up is Venusaur, max special attack modest with a life orb, enough speed to outspeed uninvested Rotom out of Sun, and Chlorophyll means in Sun it'll easily outspeed the other team except for some Choice Scarfers, with the hefty leftover EVs dumped into HP. Terra Water will resist fire and ice moves. Growth gives a +2 special attack boost in Sun, and Giga Drain, Weather Ball, and Earth Power will let it go to town on the other team. I really like this set. Maybe you could invest in speed to outspeed something like Choice Scarf Chi-Yu, but the bulk to be able to get off a growth and then heal it all back with Giga Drain, it's probably better, and you've got super effective coverage for all 3 grass resists. Great set here. And last up is Lycanroc, max attack Adamant Nature with enough speed and a Choice Scarf to outspeed Scarfed Modest Chi-Yu. Stellar Terra is strange. I guess you're just bluffing the Stellar-type Terra Blast. Accelerock is the only stab move, but Tough Claws boosted close combat, Drill Run, and Play Rough give it super effective coverage for almost everything. Overall, I really like this set. I think Terra could be better, probably an offensive Terra type, or something like maybe Ghost to be immune to Fake Out and Mach Punch. And while the Choice Scarf is nice to get the jump on some things, I think it's mostly useful against opposing Choice Scarves, which we haven't seen a ton of in general this season. There does happen to be another Scarf this week, though, so we'll see if it actually pays off. Overall, I like this team a lot. There is a lot of bold choices here, from the choice items to the commitment to Manual Sun offense, but that kind of approach can be effective against some of the top teams if you can catch them unprepared and keep up the pressure. So while there are certainly some individual elements I have some problems with, I really love this strategy and team overall, and I hope it works out for them in the match, which, speaking of, let's jump into it. So here we have the match, and for the Boopers, this is actually not a bad matchup to see at all. No Gyarados Intimidate and Fire Resist or Thick Fat on Hariyama is going to open up Gouging Fire's Flare Blitz a lot, and Lycanroc also appreciates being able to spam close combat all that much easier. Primarina and Venusaur, I think, also look great. The Boopers are just going to have to watch out for speed control from the other side and just try to stay a little bit ahead of the Bouffalant, but I think their team actually looks pretty great here. For the Bouffalant, no Sticky Webs or Muck is great for that Scarfed Hoopa. No Great Tusk is also appreciated by several of these mons. Rotom, I think, is definitely going to be key here as a nice resist, as well as crucial speed control for the rest of the team. For the leads, we're going to see Gouging Fire and Meowscarada out into Chi-Yu and Pheasantipity. Like I expected the Chi-Yu because of that Focus Sash. And I do like this kind of an aggressive lead from the Boopers with potential for either Prankster Sun into a huge Flare Blitz or that Fake Out from that Meowstic as another option. Fake Out is going to flinch Chi-Yu, but Pheasantipity is going to live the Flare Blitz to actually go for the Speed Drop Icy Wind, but doesn't get the Toxic Chain activation. Interesting that he went for the Icy Wind here instead of something like a Tailwind, but getting off some chip damage, being able to break some sashes, all good options there. We see a double switch actually here into Lycanroc and Primarina for the Boopers with Acid Spray, and then the Dark Pulse here from Chi-Yu absolutely shredding that Primarina already down to just 11%. Usually Primarina pretty specially bulky, and then resisting that Dark Pulse, it's kind of crazy how much that Acid Spray let Dark Pulse do. I really don't know about the double switch here. I mean, I get you're scared of potentially Specs or otherwise boosted Chi-Yu, but Prankster Sun would have let Gouging Fire outspeed the other team again, and then you can either take out Pheasantipity, the only Tailwind setter, or actually have a 93% chance to KO no bulk Chi-Yu. This particular set, though, would have been a straight 50-50 into getting the KO in the Sun. And, I mean, if you're worried about a boosted Dark Pulse taking something out, I mean, it's still going to chunk Primarina, who is slow and going to take additional damage because things move before it, and, I mean, it's probably going to OHKO Lycanroc anyway, so I really don't see the benefit of this double switch here. Protect from Chi-Yu is going to come out and scout the close combat from Lycanroc, while Pheasantipity's Dazzling Gleam will KO Primarina and do decent damage to Lycanroc thanks to Beads of Ruin and get that Toxic Chain activation. Gouging Fire is back out, though, now with nice Flare Blitz and close combat from these two mons looking real free. Rotom is going to switch in for Chi-Yu, taking just under half from the close combat, as Flare Blitz does come out and take out Pheasantipity, and the choice to replace it will be Ursaluna, who, you know, it might look in danger of something like a big close combat, but the threat of a ground attack into either of these Pokemon will probably draw at least one attack it can protect from while it gets the burn off, and Electro Web should KO Lycanroc after the toxic damage at the end of the turn. But we actually see another double switch here into the ground immune Thunder Tornadus and the electric water resist Venusaur, as the Protect comes out, and then Electro Web is going to lower the speed of the Wooper Boopers. With that speed drop, a fast Venusaur could still outspeed Ursaluna, not this particular set, but it is something that the Bouffalant need to watch out for, as well as potential Sunny Day from this Tornadus. And we will see the Ursaluna switch into Iron Treads, and the Sunny Day means that Venusaur will still move before the other side, get off a big Giga Drain, as Electro Web will come out again and further slow the Boopers down. Interesting choice, not going for a Thunder Wave there, just going for the repeated Electro Webs. Terra Grass to hopefully save Tornadus from an electric move, but Ice Spinner will still KO, as Rotom here gets a great Thunder Wave onto that Venusaur, negating that Chlorophyll boost as it gets a little greedy and goes for Growth. I think growth is definitely a misplay here because, I mean, your speed keeps getting lowered. You're going to be in danger of getting outsped by things even in the sun now and being, afraid of various sources of damage. I definitely take the Giga Drain KO on either Mon that's right in front of you right now. Maybe even Earth Power the Iron Treads in case Chi-Yu switches in, but I think that growth was just getting a little too greedy there. Flare Blitz will take out Iron Treads, while Rotom is going to get a Thunder Wave out on the Gouging Fire this time, and Giga Drain will finally take out Rotom, bringing in, of the last the Bouffalant's Mons, we see Chi-Yu and Hoopa here, threatening big damage and outspeeding thanks to those Thunder Waves now. Definitely a pretty solid situation for the Bouffalant. Meowstic is going to switch in for Venusaur, but still take pretty decent damage from Hoopa's Psychic as Dark Pulse takes out the Gouging Fire. The Bouffalant appear, I think, to have the endgame kind of mapped out here. Sure, Fake Out and Close Combat means that probably Chi-Yu will be KO'd on this upcoming turn, but after that, the Scarf on Hoopa and then Terra on Ursaluna should pretty safely close out the game. And we see Fake Out there and that Close Combat, like I had said, taking out the Chi-Yu, bringing down the Bouffalant to their last two Pokemon, that Hoopa and Ursaluna. We're going to see Terra on the Ursaluna to resist Close Combat. Fake Tears is about all that Meowstic can do, but the Scarfed Lycanroc takes out the opposing Scarfed Hoopa as the Meowstic goes down to Ursaluna. Big payoff for that Choice Scarf on the Lycanroc that I was doubting earlier. And here, the resist on the Close Combat is fine for the Ursaluna, but no full paralysis on the Venusaur means that in the end, the Woopers do pull off a huge upset and take down the Bouffalant. What a good game. When I looked at the team, I wasn't sure about that Choice Scarf, but boy did it pay off here. Was an unfortunate guessing game on turn 10 there for the Bouffalant as to whether Lycanroc had a Scarf. If it didn't, their play should have guaranteed the win, with Hoopa KOing Lycanroc thanks to its Choice Scarf, and Ursaluna then KOing the Meowstic. Then Hoopa would be able to guaranteed beat the Venusaur because thanks to Terra on that Ursaluna, it couldn't KO and heal up at the same time. And of course, if Chi-Yu is faked out there, Hoopa should still, thanks to its Scarf, outspeed and KO the Lycanroc. Even if you plan for that Scarf, though, it's a 50-50 who's getting close combated to know if Chi-Yu needs to protect or not, so betting against the unlikely Scarf there definitely makes sense and would have been 100% the correct and game-winning play if that Lycanroc didn't happen to have a Choice Scarf. Both coaches played a great game, though. The Boopers preserved the right Pokemon until the end, and their prep really came through with that team-building strategy they ended up with. The Bouffalant made excellent use of the speed control to pressure the threats on the other side, but that darn Choice Scarf just caught them in the end. So with that, we'll wrap up the feature match from Week 7 here, heading into the final week of the regular season, seeing who will make it into playoffs and who won't. Thanks for watching me here. Remember, you can like, comment, subscribe, all that YouTube stuff, and hope to see you next week in another feature match as we wrap up the regular season. See you then.